Scott King, help us understand what happened here and why.
That's a good question. I think obviously the organization felt a change was needed. I agree with you guys. I didn't think it would come this soon. I mean, we're 15 games in the season here. They just dropped 5 in a row. They had 2 days off. It came as a huge surprise to a lot of people. But, this is a way you want to shake up the team. This is probably the biggest way you could have done it.
And when we hear this Colleton name, you're more familiar with him and his body of work than many. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he was 12 games into coaching the Hawks AHL affiliate, the Rockford Ice Hogs, this season. Last season, had a really good record with the team. Players liked him a lot. He actually took them as far as Rockford's ever been in the AHL playoffs. So his reputation, a guy who, whether it's here in the AHL or back in Sweden where he had coaching experience, he began his career after playing. His players play very hard for him, and you can't argue those results. Even though it hasn't been at the NHL level yet, everywhere he's gone, his players like him, and they play very hard for him.
And we will see how he does at this level. Scott King, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Not a great day, though, for Blackhawks fans, and especially those that loved what Joel Quenneville did there. Shocking news that the number 2 all-time coach in terms of wins was relieved of his duties today. Immediate reaction.
Oh, if I had a stash, it was shaking after I read that. I was flying in here, and all of a sudden, it really was one of those, it's overused, but wow moments. Does it shock me that there was a coaching change there eventually? No, it really doesn't, because I don't think they're a playoff team again this year, and something was going to have to be done. But to have it happen right now, early on in the season, when the team actually hasn't, in my opinion, at times has been a little up, but other times they've actually played perhaps a little bit better than I expected them to. But then have it early on in the season, we're talking early November, that was a wow moment for me.
Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
If he wants to work, he's going to be able to work. And there's a number of coaches on the hot seat at this moment. But the resume speaks for itself for Quenneville. And that team, that's a veteran team. And he knows how to handle those guys. He's been around them a long time. But the relationship with Stan Bowman, I really question. Don't think that those two really were on the same page for a lot of times. And Stan Bowman pulled the trigger, gets him out of there. And Joe Q probably just said, okay, it's fine. My work here is done. I'll move on. And I'll go maybe ski a little bit, do something, and if a job comes along, that will be fine. But Joe Quenneville, one of the greatest coaches of all time, relieved of his duties. That is a big, bold move from Chicago, because where do you go from here?
Well, I mean, here's a guy, and I know we'll touch on where they're going in a moment, but here's a guy. I mean, you've been around him. He's so confident. And he's earned it.
Commands
Hall
the room.
of Fame. He commands the room. He commands people outside the room as well. He controls the message in the way that he wants. He's a genuine guy. He's got a lot of outside interest besides hockey, although he loves coaching hockey, and he's darn good at it. Understatement. This is a guy that, Billy, I agree with you. He could go coach if he wanted to. I don't know if he needs to go coach though right now.
No, he doesn't have to.
That's just a personal thing, if he wants to be right back on the bench or not. But here's a guy that has so many outside things, whether it's skiing in Colorado, his place there, or the horses, or just whatever. A lot of different things. Contractually, he's okay. At least, 1 year plus this year, he's fine. I mean, if he doesn't want to coach. But overall, the moment that you see a guy like that go for a franchise that he helped turn around, literally turn that ship around, it makes you think, wow. I mean, hopefully for a guy like Jeremy Colton, who we'll talk about soon, it works out well. You always want to be the guy following the guy who followed the guy. He's following the guy. Yeah, you get it?
It's tough.
He's following the guy.
.24/7, we loved Q. Nobody loves to win more than me. The voice, the whole thing, commanding the room, as you made the point. And you were just saying, as we were watching that, he had such a good feel of who was going.
Always.
What allowed him to be this legendary coach that won 3 cups and totally turned him around?
They talked about, John McDonough talked about Jeremy Colton communicating, and it was Scott as well. I beg your pardon, it was Scott that was talking about communication skills of Jeremy Colton with his players. Coach Q had the same thing with his players, albeit different generational type and different style. But he was so good at picking up, Billy, who was on and who was off early on in the game, not afraid to make good quick line changes or, hey, if you're not playing well, come take a seat next to me type of thing. What made him so good is I think he just had a natural feel for the game over the years that took him to another level. Sometimes these guys have certain instincts. You've been around great coaches. It's an instinctive thing. He had it, and it worked for years for the Hawks.
And a good coach brings the best out of their players. He got the best out of Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, Keith Seabrook. He was able to bring these players from here to another level, to a championship level. And when you're able to do that as a coach and you win those championships, all of a sudden you form that bond and you have that core nucleus that was so critical to this team that believed in this coach, that this guy can take me to the promised land if I do this. If I do what he's telling me to do, that we're going to win. And it proved it. So now you're sitting on the bench and you get this from this coach and he tells you, you're going to do exactly what he says because you know this is what it takes to win. Now, Jeremy Colleton comes in, a young coach. He goes to Keith. He goes to Seabrook, Kane, Toews, a young guy that's not proven. He has to develop this relationship and get this respect because they've had that there. This is a tall, tall order for a young coach to come in. This is not a young team where he's trying to mold it. They've got some young players there where they're trying to bring along. Yes, they're kind of caught in between.
Yeah.
But still, that veteran core leadership is the team, the nucleus that is really going to take Chicago if they're going to get back in that playoff race. And he's got to find a way to get the most out of them and get those guys to believe in them. The young kids, yes, they can say, hey, do this, we'll see if it works. But turn it around, that's a big ask for a 33-year-old coach that's inexperienced.
You take a look at these guys, Tony, that they have that are making so much money with so many years experience and so much winning. That's the thing, winning around
Rings.
them. And that's and so winning gets you it gets you cachet. It gets you that little extra. It gets you that little extra. Wait a second. I've been through the, well, it gets you money, cash and cachet. But it also gets you when you're a player or anybody for that matter. Hey, I've been through the battles. I know what's going on. Jeremy Colleton, who I was around, I was doing the Islanders games when Jeremy Colleton was a guy that was up and down between the American Hockey League and the NHL. A wonderful guy, a cerebral guy. I can't sit here and tell you I thought he had coach written all over him, but you could tell that very personable, soft-spoken, but great guy to just connect with, easy to connect with. So maybe those things will help him significantly. But when you're talking about, there we go, the old Coliseum, well, the new Coliseum soon too, but Jeremy Colleton, the type of guy, you know, he's going to have to connect with these guys quickly to get the most out of them. That's going to be a big challenge, I think. And there's going to be some guys that might be giving them that kind of that raised eyelid and saying, wait a second. One full year in the American League.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Josh Bernstein, RCP, said in my ear, 5 current Hawks are older than him. We keep hearing 33 years old. The credibility, the ability to stand in front of those guys who are going to the Hall of Fame. Literally, he's got Hall of Famers on the roster. How does he command and earn their respect right away?
It's easy. It's real easy to sit here and say it, but it's hard to go, be yourself, be in control, and believe in what you're preaching, what you're teaching. But I think it's going to be hard, Billy. I think it's going to be hard. Given the fact that, you know, Jonathan Toews being a great leader that he is, he's going to have to lead the way, right? Well, he's going to have to believe, though. And so I guarantee you there's conversations already happening with him. But you've got to present yourself with command, control, and confidence. And if you don't do that, it won't work. But Jeremy seems like a confident guy. He's had success in his short term.
The big question is you're not going well, and all of a sudden you get on Patrick Kane, you get on Keith, and they turn around to you and give you an earful right back. How do you respond to that as a young coach? That, to me, is going to be a big measuring stick. How does he respond when the button gets pushed around the other way? So if he goes in there, commands, believes in his abilities, but it's inevitable that you're going to have confrontations as a coach. With young guys, you can put the hammer
down. Isn't that
why
why they brought Barry Smith in? And
yes, the older guys, to be around them, to surround them. But these, to get the most out of this team and to take them there. Joe Q knew what he was doing, and this is a young, inexperienced guy. But to you now, it's the transition. It's the DeBrincats. You go down Nick Schmaltz, Yoki Haro, the defenseman, these type of players.
But it's not their team.
No, but he's got to develop these. This is where Colleton is the development of the young young players coming in.
Yeah.
And just make sure that this nucleus is playing hard.
You can't lose the nucleus.
Yeah, you cannot at all.
If you lose them, then all the development you do almost won't matter because you'll have a divided team there.
Right.
We're maybe getting ahead of ourselves a little. One of the things that's fascinating to me is that Joel Quenneville had a lot of old school in him, a real lot of old school, yet was so capable, so hockey smart, so smart in general. He had a lot of new school ways, too, meaning he could incorporate them. I'm curious to see if Jeremy Colton, not having that old schoolness to him, because he's a new age coach.
Sure.
A couple of years in Sweden and 1 year in the American League, so there's a lot of newness to him. How do they transition? How do they take to that transition? How stark of a contrast is it to? It's hard to change systems in the middle of a season. I know we're only, a month in, Billy, or 5 weeks in?
That's
still,
where the timing's weird.
That's where, exactly.
Really strange time. But I just go back to the dynamic with the GM. There was something
Stan
off
Bowman.
It's not copacetic. It's been off for a while. And it's just part of business. We see it in all different types of business.
And I guarantee you, Joe Quenneville, he might be hurt a little bit, but he knows his track record, and he's going to go sit at home and just sit back and just take a deep breath finally and say, okay, relax, let the air out, and just look back. Maybe now he can sit back and reflect. Maybe watch some tapes of raising the championships and reflect of all the wonderful times he had at Chicago and try and get rid of this.
On that topic,
this kind of
Craig Custance' book is so cool, where he goes and visits with some of the best coaches in hockey, and he watches one of the defining moments in their lives. In his case, it was the 2010 Cup. That team was amazing, and Quenneville did a great job with him. These guys don't allow themselves, and in fact, their schedules don't afford them much of a chance to savor the achievements. It's always on to the next practice, the next game, the next challenge. This guy has accomplished so much. Jack Adams winner with the Blues, and then the 3 Cups with the Hawks. Do you think he gets back in, or does he stay out? As you point out, he's got other interests.
It's such a hypothetical. It's hard because there aren't other openings right now. Eventually, yes, I see Joel Quenneville still coaching. I do. But, I know one of my dear friends plays a lot of tennis with him. And they just, you know what I mean? He loves playing tennis and hanging out. He's a dude. He's a guy. He loves skiing. He's going to go do that. He loves the horses. I think he'll take a breath. I think he'll take a deep breath, guys. And then he can almost pick where he ends up wanting to go. And he should. He's earned it. You talk about taking that deep breath, maybe having a cigar and relaxing a little bit. I think it's hard sometimes, Billy, for these guys to imagine, what life is like without the chaos. And once they get life without the chaos, it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. He's just been so good for so long. I could see him taking a couple of months and chilling out. 22
straight years as a head coach in the NHL with different teams. And you talked, what made him last, to your point, though, was the other interests. A lot of coaches will burn themselves out in the summer. I got to do this. I got to watch all this tape. Joe Quenneville had the ability to escape hockey. So when it was summertime, when it was downtime, hockey's gone. It's on the afterburner. And then when it was hockey time, it's all focused and the attention. There may be why he can get back into it, but the other interest is probably what served him so well over the long term, because if you were able to compartmentalize
work-life balance,
yes, and trying to work-life balance everything, that's a great quality to have, and it probably is why he's able to adapt to new age, old age type of things. He's got all kinds of different interests in his life, and it made him successful not only in coaching but in life in general.
Every player that I've talked about playing for him, I mean, it isn't always pretty and it isn't always easy, but it's always good.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
That's a great legacy. And there's a lot of stars on the Bolts roster, but Billy Lindsay, you feel the guy that drives it for them is?
Braden Point. He is the guy that stands out. Watching him play in the playoffs last year was exhilarating. Plays both ends of the rink. It's a 200-foot game, and compete here in front against the defenseman Green. Get to the blue paint, win those individual battles, and able to shove it in. He's only 5'10", 180 pounds, but he's able to get to those traffic areas. Here, everyone's in front of the net. Get off to the side. You see, this is the hockey smarts. Plethora of bodies in front of the goaltender there in Vancouver, and just kind of hanging out into the weeds, able to get it off the rebound. Just a really smart, high hockey IQ. Here, a quick step, get in the middle, and he's just surrounded by 5 Red Wings. He's going to go here. He knows he's going to pay a price, He's going to get in there. Go, drive hard in that. There, a little shove, but it goes off his skates. He's a greasy guy, gets those garbage goals. He draws all kinds of attention. Here's the stops and starts. 3 Montreal Canadiens focused on him. Gets it over, gets a scoring chance. And this is later in the same shift. Drive hard to the middle, attack that seam. Make people pay attention to you. Here, get those feet moving. Everyone starts to focus on Braden Point. Yanni Gordon, number 37 in white, is just hanging over there. He's going to get a freebie on the slam dunk at the end of it, but Braden Point able to draw the attention. This is the last game. Late, 26 seconds. He was clutch, ties it up, and then a little life in overtime. And here's a little burst of speed. He doesn't look extremely fast. Here he's even with a couple of players, Mark still in the forward. And then the turnstile. Go hard to the net, put that shoulder down. And again, this is bravery. He knows there's going to be plenty of contacts at the net, and Yanni Gordon is the benefactor at it. And I actually watched that whole game against Ottawa, and he is smart. He's in the right position all the time, comes down.
A lot of firsts.
that is. And to me, this is a guy that came out of Moose Jaw in the Western Hockey League. Not a very high draft pick, and then made the team right out of training camp, had a good rookie season, got better last year in his second year, third year. They're getting the most out of him, but pays attention to detail in the little areas of the ice, and he makes it work. He's on that second line. He can play with that top line, but for John Cooper, he's the guy on the luxury on the bench that if I'm looking down in a key situation, it's not so much Kucherov or Stamkos anymore. It's Braden Point that I'm looking at.
I think he's hands down their most complete forward. Yeah, I do. I think Kucherov is their most skilled. Stamkos has the heavy shot. Hasn't been last year as effective at 5-on-5. Still needs to elevate that part, re-elevate that part of his game for Steven Stamkos. But Braden Point he does it all for the Tampa Bay Lightning. You can compare him to a Patrice Bergeron, the way that he plays. Not as big. He's not ready to win the Selke.
But what a compliment.
But it's that type of cerebral play. You know, talking to people in Tampa last week specifically about Braden Point, because we talked about him, in fact, right here on the same set about 6 days ago. His tenacity, has increased. His skill set was already there. His instinct was already there. But his tenacity and his willingness to go to those areas, his footwork is excellent. You know, how many of those pucks went off his skates to his stick that you showed in your breakdown?
Yep.
3?
Yep.
At least right there.
Yeah.
I mean, his ability to do that in the tight quarters is great. But the word that kept coming back when I was talking to people in Tampa, tenacity, that level, just a little bit more. And to grow as a player, part is growing just those feelings, right? He's tenacious. He wants the puck even more.
Mitch, congratulations on the win. Take us through this win. As we mentioned, wins on home ice haven't come as easy as they have on the road. Take us through how you guys picked up 2 points tonight.
I think everyone saw it tonight. Freddie Anderson was pretty much the reason. He's been unbelievable for us home and away. So, but I think the first 10 minutes we came ready to play. I think from then on we kind of sat back a little bit too much. I think in the third we started getting back to where we wanted to play. But like I said, Freddie was the reason we won again tonight.
Mitch, Weeksy here. Yeah, Fred X was outstanding. But for you, as a Toronto area kid, having played in the G and the GTHL, what's it like to be a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs playing your hometown team? What's that experience been like for you? You look like you're having tons of fun, and you're really cool with all the pressure. What's the experience been like?
It's been awesome. I get to see my family all the time. Can't ask for anything better than that. So I get to see them at all the games. It's always fun bringing them down. And I think just it's not just me being the Toronto boy here. We got a couple guys on the team. So I think as a unit, we all kind of came in together at the same time. We knew the pressure that was on the team when we all came in. We came with a lot of young guys as well. So I think for us, it's just we stuck together. We didn't really think of the pressure outside of the arena, and we had fun with it. We have a great fan base here, and anywhere we go, you can see the fans covered in blue and white. So it's an honor to play for this jersey.
You guys are 5-0 now when you score the first goal of the game. Connor Brown got the scoring started in this one. Is it a concerted effort of this team to get off to quick starts this season? Because you guys have certainly done that so far in the early goings.
Yeah, we want to be. We got a lot of speed, so I think in the first 10 we want to make sure that we're moving, we're getting pucks in, we're playing hard against the other team. So I think when we have scored first, it gets our momentum going right away. It gets the energy in our room going right away. And I mean, I think as well when we're down, we have no quit in our team, which is awesome. So we want to obviously be on the scoring side first for most of this, but sometimes it always doesn't happen, and that's when we come and battle back. And like I said, we have no quit in the locker room. It's a lot of fun to be a part of. We all enjoy it.
All right, well, another win on home ice tonight. Mitch, congratulations on the win. Congrats on the goal, and good luck the rest of the way. This team's starting to, it was a slow start to the season, but starting to figure things out. What are they doing now that's being so effective for them?
I mean, they've done a much better job in their play without the puck this last little bit, because they were pretty sloppy. It was easy access, open road for a lot of the opposing teams, making plays through the middle, 1-2 touches, 2-3 touches, and then burying goals. The goalies have been really good for the most part this season. They haven't had the most help up until this last stretch that you started talking about, but nice to see them turning it, and they're turning it with a lot of the young players, like a Dylan Larkin in this lineup. Mantha can go up and down the different guys. Chalowski is real. I'm sure you like that. Chalowski on defense.
Skills.
Right? But I'm impressed to see some traction from some of their younger players right now, Whit.
I think also it helps. You got Mike Green back, and you're getting out of the zone easier, right? I mean, there's only so much time you can spend in your zone. All of a sudden, the best teams in the world, if you're stuck running around playing in D zone, you just can't get anything done offensively. You got no legs. So I think Green's guy helps them get out of their zone, helps the power play. But you said it best. I mean, they're clogging up the neutral zone better, and they're doing a better job of kind of. Well, I shouldn't say they're doing, but they're giving the young guys a real big chance this year, right? And those young guys are kind of learning on the job. It's gonna be a long year. They're not planning on making the playoffs. I mean, the players are. They're not playing like that, but I think most fans know that this is a development year. And as long as you see these guys improve that you're mentioning, especially Mantha, who had a monster year last year, that's what you need. All right, for Vancouver, not all is lost tonight. Getting a point out of this one. Now tied with Calgary for top spots in the Pacific Division. This team kicking off a 6-game, 10-day road trip. Playing a ton of games on the road tonight and didn't have one of their best players in Brock Besser. Are you surprised at how Vancouver has started off this season with? Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, I thought that they were going to have a real tough time, but I also didn't know that Elias Pettersson was this good. And when you have a player that's this good, it can really pick up an entire team. It sounds crazy, but this guy's on the ice. The puck's going towards the offensive end. He's making plays. He makes Brock Besser even better. And I think that you're talking about Besser and Pettersson a lot, but you mentioned Horvat. He's the future captain of that team, I think.
Yes, I agree with that.
He's the guy that does it on both ends. He's hard to play against. He's got a ton of skill, more than people think. So they have some talent up front. If they can get, goaltending situated. Markstrom played good tonight. It's a tough loss for him to take, but I didn't see this coming. I am surprised by how good they've played, and so that's a testament to Travis Green, too, and how he's coached.
Yeah, Travis Green has got this team, and he looks a little surly behind the bench.
Yeah, he does.
The good thing for him where that's concerned is he's still allowing these guys to play the skilled game, but he's demanding them to do a lot of the detail areas of the game at the same time, which you have to do. And listen, you can't argue with the mix. Canucks are playing some nice hockey right now, and for everybody not out on that left coast, you're getting a chance to see this team. This team's exceeded all expectations. Good for them. They're playing really well.
What did you guys make of the situation? Is that kind of between the lines, or was that a step over by the big fella from Edmonton?
I think it was, for the most part, between them. Then I think it started getting a little over. That's when it got a little rec league towards the end. You made your presence felt. And Joseph didn't even really hammer Russell. It's just where Russell's face line was in relation to the dasher. And he let up on him, too. And then Lucic didn't really let up on the hit. Okay, so he's over the top of him. Hey, kid, this is the NHL. This is how I roll. This is how we roll. I get it. They're down. They're frustrated. Luch handling the physical department. Nothing wrong there. But from there, he's got him down, trying to teach him a bit of a lesson, I guess. And, of course, then all cooler heads would not prevail.
No.
And from there, it just kind of set off the powder keg. So it ended up getting a little bit rec league for me, I think.
Yeah, the Lucic hit, you could tell he did a good job making sure that he wasn't going to injure that guy hitting him.
Yeah.
Because I know it looks way worse than it actually was. He kind of just, hits him with his chest almost. But then when he's standing over him, you could tell he was just so upset. They're losing 5-2, gives him one shot, but then at the end he just wouldn't get off him. And there's not a ref in the league that can move him. So it's up to him when he wanted to get off of Joseph, and he's like, I'm going to take my time and face wash this guy. because I'm upset and I don't want to play in this game anymore.
What did you think about the hit on Russell that started it? Is that okay?
Yeah, maybe a penalty. You could tell. I mean, it wasn't that dirty of a hit. It was more that Russell was bent over or smaller and his face hit the glass. I think Luch probably maybe even missed the hit, just saw him kind of down in pain and decided I'm going to get that guy. But that was earlier, so I don't think any of those hits were that bad. It was just a game that was out of hand and Edmonton was upset.
Time for the clutch performance of the night presented by Bridgestone. How about Mark Stone? The game he had. 2 goals, 3 helpers, 5-point night for him. Career high in that department. Previous high was 3 points in a game. So 5 points for Mark Stone in the 7-3 Sens win.
I love Mark Stone. Mark Stone brings an old school, new school toughness, jam, willing to get to the middle, but he has a nice skill set. And what a win for the Senators in this one, guys. We talked about it. You got to be able to stick together in tough times. Mark Stone was excellent in this one. A real budding star player in this league with some old school, new school to his game with.
Yeah, and given the biggest 1-year deal contract, I think, out of where was he this year? He had to go to
arbitration.
I think he had the biggest ARB award in the history of hockey. So he's a UFA. He's already making $9 million this year. He's going to get paid a load of cash this summer.
And he'll get his term too. That'd be a nice guy to add to your mix.
Yeah.
All right, Sens picking up a big win, and the news may get better later this week. Brady Tkachuk expected to be back possibly on Thursday.
I love watching him.
And he got off to a great start in his rookie campaign. So good news there in Ottawa tonight. 7-3 the final over Jersey. The Enterprise hat trick courtesy of Ryan O'Reilly. First career hat trick for Ryan O'Reilly, number 94 St. Louis, and couldn't come at a better time here. St. Louis was in almost a must-win situation, dead last in the Central Division. Can't fall too far back off the pace in that division. Just 11 points coming into this one, leaving with 13 points. So a big win there for the Blues against a Carolina team that's also kind of hit a snag of late. What have you seen from St. Louis, and what tells you that the St. Louis team still isn't quite done just yet this season? They have a long way to go, a lot of hockey left to go.
Well, they have the pieces. It's not for lack of pieces. They certainly have the pieces. They have a lot of nice components to their team. To say that they've underperformed would be to put it mildly right now, and I think it'd also be very inaccurate. So their team needs to get back to doing the things that make them successful. They've got a good decor, but they're not as solid in and around their net. I mean, there's instances where they're allowing 2-3 passes across the crease in front of their goalies, and then everybody's trying to jump on Jake Allen. It's not necessarily the case. They're a solid team when they're at their best. They haven't been that. They need to get back to being solid, then get the puck out of their D zone. You talked about the early exits by having a guy like Mike Green back for the Red Wings tonight as an example. That's the type of thing. Simple outs of the D zone, get it up, get it deep, and make some plays on the offensive end. It's a simple game. That's what they started doing when Mike Yeo took over for Ken Hitchcock. When they were at their best, they need to rediscover that form. But huge win for them. Huge win, capital letters for this one.
Yeah, and they still, Carolina outshoots everyone, but they still, they got to take, on the shot sheet, did not look good for them. But it doesn't really matter. A win's a win. And the same way you said about L.A. getting back to their identity, St. Louis's team that was always just tough to play against. You go in there, you know it's going to be a battle. So I think they need more of that. And it's kind of been an issue on the defensive side. You saw Jay Bolmeister get healthy scratch one game. So they haven't really figured out, besides Alex Pietrangelo, their captain, on what they're going to get from the other 5 guys. So if that's more consistent and they can start getting some more shots, generate some more offense, then they should be good, because there was a lot of expectations because of this roster and how good they can be. Tyler Bozak wants to bring a little bit more. So there's a lot of hockey left in the year, but they got to figure it out.
This was something we had heard about for some time now over the summer and whatnot, but what was your reaction when you finally saw it come across as Joel Quenneville out in Chicago?
Ripples throughout the hockey world, literally across the world. There's no question. I mean, credit to the Blackhawks and their franchise, and we talked about them reestablishing their franchise, the renaissance of the Chicago Blackhawks, back to prominence and winning the 3 Stanley Cups. A lot of different people that are a part of that success. Joel Quenneville, one of them, probably being chief among them, having been head coach, along with the player group. And management has done a really good job over the years. But the challenge is right now, and you've got the great Joel Quenneville, as you just heard them talk about in the press conference. Well, the only person that's won more games in the history of the NHL in north of 100 years is Stan Bowman's dad, the great Scotty Bowman. I mean, these are tough people to come by. They don't happen. Look at the resume. Look at the resume. So, and it's also the greatness behind the bench, in addition to the greatness as a person. and the way that he treated the men and women that he came into contact with in the organization, from the equipment trainers, medical trainers, the players, fellow staff members. I mean, they're going in a different direction now, but this is a real bold move, and sometimes you have to make bold moves. But Joel Quenneville is, in my estimation, irreplaceable. You heard Colton say that himself. He's going to try to be himself. I heard a lot of great things about Colton. People that played with him, people that know him, a text specifically that I got, close friend, incredible leader, wise beyond his years, will be a very successful coach, very sharp hockey mind. But we also know, and that's about Colton, but which you know as well as I do, great opportunity for him. But it's a real sad day in Chicago in a lot of ways, as it should be. This guy's one of the best people in our game. And I'm going to tell you something. You look at what John Gruden's getting to be the head coach of the LA Raiders. Wow. And props to John Gruden. The guy that's setting the benchmark going forward will be Joel Quenneville. And Mike Babcock gets a lot of money, and he's done a great job with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Joel Quenneville's won 3 cups as a head coach, second winningest all time. He should be able to write his check going forward.
Yeah, he will. And, you know, you heard about Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville not seeing eye to eye for a little while now. And when you hear these rumors over and over, there's got to be something there. I know Stan Bowman said there isn't, but this has been going on long enough. And when Panarin got traded, that was when everything really came to a head. And I think that from then on, the relationship was broken. From what you hear, from what I hear, they did not get along. They didn't speak that often. And finally, there comes a time when Stan Bowman has the decision, can make the decision that Joel Quenneville is gone. It is a sad day. If you're a Blackhawks fan, I think every Blackhawks fan that's seen this team turn into a dynasty and give the city these amazing moments and all these games in the spring, they think back, and it probably makes them sad to think that he's no longer there, because it hasn't just been a coach that's there for all the winning. He's a fiery coach. He's had some memorable things on the bench. He's had some memorable press conferences. I mean, he's someone that you'll remember forever. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So it's a crazy thing. And you said it best, ripple through the hockey world. I mean, that's one of those things, social media just blows up. I saw it. I said, what? Yeah. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's the shock factor.
If you're going to talk about coaches you thought might be let go earlier this year, Joel Quenneville was not at the top of my list. Yeah. But now it comes to Jeremy Colton, a guy I played against, a heady player, smart guy. I mean, he coached a Swedish team for 4 years already. He's 33 years old. So he's done this. I think he's one of those guys, one of those players that you meet a lot in pro hockey where when they're young, you say, this guy's probably going to be a coach. You can tell talking to them, the way they approach the game. So good luck to him. He does not have an easy job because he has everyone around him thinking, this guy, what's he doing here? So good luck to him. He's going to need it because that team, there's a lot of skill, but they got to figure out something. There has just been a little bit of a drop in how they've played in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's why he said there's tough shoes to fill, and he's not even going to try to do it. He just has to be himself. What does the future hold for Joel Quenneville? What do you think?
I think
does he
sky's
jump
the
right
limit.
back in?
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I had a chance to be in touch with him, albeit briefly today. Sky's the limit for Joel Quenneville. When you're able to accomplish as much as he has by way of team success and him being at the forefront of that as a head coach, I should say, you get the opportunity to be selective and to be very discerning. So I'm not sure if he'll stay in Chicagoland. I'm not sure if he's going to go home to their off-season home in Colorado, but he's going to have the pick of the litter. And I think a big part of that, it will be fit. Not that I'm here to speak on his behalf, but I think a lot of it will be to fit what he thinks is the right fit, the right opportunity.
Team can win.
A good team, exactly, with that can win. And I want to go back to your point earlier, too. I want to revisit your point because I really think that the trade of Panarin at the time, that really didn't sit well with him. And why should it? Panarin's one of the best players. Yep. And he established himself as being a franchise-type player. And he's done that in Columbus right now, 82 points last year to lead that team. And I think going forward, if I'm a team and I'm looking at Joel Quenneville, perhaps I'm looking at Panarin as well, depending on where that destination is. Yeah. But I'm looking at Artemi Panarin as a potential link to Joel Quenneville if I'm an interested team and I can make that work.
That trade happened when we were at the draft in Chicago, and you heard rumors that there was a coaches meeting going on, and that's where Quenneville found out about it and stormed out of that meeting. Because he was not happy. So clearly you could see that he and the GM kind of weren't on the same page as far as the lines of thinking there going forward.
Yeah, it's very interesting, too, that Quenneville this summer, or I'm guessing this summer, I don't think that he'll hop right back into something just because of the career he's had in Chicago. It would be weird to me if in 2 weeks he's coaching somewhere. You know, because I'm saying it won't happen.
Julian, I was going to say.
Julian did it, but if it is this summer, it's similar to a player and being a big UFA and making your decision. He's going to have a bunch of teams that say, hey, we need to know quick, but we want you. So it'll come down to a team, I think, that can win the Stanley Cup. He's not looking to go anywhere where they're just kind of starting a rebuild. Or he wants to win now and win again, and he'll be very focused on to do it with another team, I think, to shove it in Chicago's face.
No question.
Time now for your 3 stars of the night. Third star goes to Nikita Kucherov, who had himself a 3-point game with 2 goals and a helper. Kuch now has 8 points in his last 5 games. Second star goes to Ryan O'Reilly, who tallied his first career hat trick in the Blues' 4-1 win over the Canes. O'Reilly was a big acquisition by the Blues this past summer, and he's leading the team with 19 points. And your first star goes to Mark Stone, who did not display any sign of stone hands in the Senators' 7-3 trouncing of New Jersey as he recorded his second career 5-point game.
Welcome to the Ottawa Senators Canadian Armed Forces Appreciation Night. We are proud to continue this tradition that started here.
Welcome to Amalie Arena. Hockey fights cancer.
He is someone to keep your eye on tonight.
Right to the attack here. Marner scored!
A rocket off the stick of Pettersson.
First career hat trick for Ryan O'Reilly.
Follow the bouncing puck. Blocker, blocker, blocker. 3 times.
Fabry, he scores! Fabry with those soft, silky mitts. That's got to feel real good for Fabry.
Coast to coast by Neil Pionk. And the Rangers lead 4-3.
Quick move from the backhand to the forehand right there.
What a goal!
Puck doesn't leave the zone. Kucherov to Stamkos, shoots, scores!
Excellent job by the Lightning tracking the puck down and putting offensive pressure. And just when you think Kucherov is going to shoot, no, Kucherov doesn't shoot. It's Stamkos.
And Burns looks, Sorensen scores! Throws it across 3 different Minnesota Wild. Sorensen comes back door, perfect pass from Brent Burns.
How about that fourth line group as this stretch pass gets to Toffoli, on for Kovalchuk!
Because Jack Campbell spots it. And watch the Kings get on the horses. The Kings are in a change too, all the way. That pass was made all the way and no stopping.
Petchnikov hit the post. Now the Blues back in. Fabry, he scores! Perron back to Fabry, and Fabry with those soft, silky mitts gives him the old 9 of hearts, taking it from the forehand to the backhand. That's got to feel real good for Fabry.
That shot just whistled wide of the goal. Backhanded off the side of the net. Howard!
Oh, my God.
Got it with his blocker twice.
Wow, there's an acrobatic act right there. 3 times he tapped that puck because it was going to fall behind him.
To the net. He scores! Neil Pionk!
The spinorama, and now he's got another 190 feet. He takes it, pulls it back to the forehand and puts it in. And this place erupts.